Well, hey there. Crab Souls, am I right? All of the puns in the world for this game are, for one, hilarious, but for two, they're very well deserved. Some people call it a Shoals-like or Dark Shoals, Sheldon Ring. These are all names given by the community, though the game itself also has a ton of humorous jokes and dialogue throughout. This game is a shell of a good time. I had so much fun in this underwater romp through the sands between and other locations. I genuinely didn't want to put the controller down until I beat the game. There are a few bosses that gave me a tiny bit of a tough time, but hey, what's a Souls-like experience if you don't come across at least 2 to 3 bosses at minimum that make you want to throw your controller? Am I right? So without further delay, let's get on this review for another Crab's Treasure. Firstly, like I normally do, let's go ahead and discuss the price of this game, which is only $30. It's a steal for this kind of game. I want to say it took me close to 20 hours to complete this. I did run around and do a lot of the side content and kind of adventure around, collecting different items and upgrades and yada yada, you know, the normal Dark Souls type of stuff. But yeah, it's a decently long game for only $30. You can definitely go and spend $30 on a lot worse things than this one. And to be honest with you, they also recently released Peak, which is only $8, so this company knows that games don't have to be 70, 80, 90, whatever dollars it's going to be in the future. Games can definitely be much more affordable and still be incredible. So the developers of Another Crab's Treasure, they know what's up. Instead of trying to bleed every single dollar out of their player base, they instead said, you know what, let's make something more affordable, smaller in scope, and that's what Another Crab's Treasure is. Even though it's not really that small, it's priced accordingly, and that's an incredible feeling nowadays. This developer has done a ton of goodwill to the players, and I enjoyed the heck out of this game. It being so cheap almost made it more enjoyable, to be honest with you. Comedy is at the forefront here. You're constantly gonna get little quips and jokes from every character that you come across, and the names of places are gonna be Dark Souls references that are goofy and fun. Everything is also set under the sea, so every item in most things are ocean and water-based jokes and play on words. With random little doodads that you find and collect, it's a hell of a good time. They took the setting and they actually made an incredible environment and world to be in, and that's not always something that's accomplished in games nowadays, so it's a feat that they did accomplish. And they did it well. So let's get started with the main story here. Just like with many other Souls-like games, you go on this grand adventure, which starts off with your shell being repossessed because apparently you owe taxes. Yeah, they're pretty steep as well, so you live in this tiny little cove by yourself and, you know, a simple little life, nothing too complicated, not too much to handle. And then all of a sudden, this little toy shark comes and pops out of the water, starts yapping about how you owe money and how you have to pay back the taxes from your shell or they're gonna repossess it. And well, you don't have any money. So instead, the shark just snatches your shell away and takes off with it, and you have to go talk to the owner of the land, a large crab lady. That's the Duchess. She'll give you back your shell, but only if you bring her something of equal value, roughly, to her castle. Once this is complete, she'll return the shell to you. As your adventure is basically beginning here, you bring the item back to her and basically everyone is gone. The loan shark, yes, the toy shark is a loan shark. You work to track him down because he still has your shell, and the story gets more and more complicated as you keep working to recover your normal shell that got snatched away from you in the first place. Somehow it gets further and further away or harder to retrieve over time. The story continues to grow and become more and more grand as it continues, and at one point I kind of questioned how far along they were going to go with this because yes, the end goal is to get your shell back. And that's all that Krill, your character, truly wants to do. That's all he wants at the end of the day, to get his damn shell back. But he fails to do so until the very end of the game. But then it kinda actually hits you with some serious moments where, yeah, you're trying to do everything you can to get your shell back, but you're meeting these characters and you're building the story within these cities and the world. There's a lot of dark themes involved with bad guys taking over, trying to kill people and take all their money and land, and and, general bad dude stuff, right? But as the bad dudes are doing their thing, you're one of the only people who apparently can help everybody and save the people. But you choose not to at the very end of the game, which is kind of reasonable. You're kind of hit with a surreal moment here where he comes to a crossroad, and it makes it where people are asking him for so much help. They realize that Krill is very strong, and you're actually capable of knocking these bad guys down a peg or two. You can actually accomplish what needs to be done, but that's not what we're here for. That's not what you signed up for. And that's not what you want to do. But the entire time of playing this game, you've been pushed around, going through these insanely long adventures, fighting these creatures, just trying to survive another day to get your shell back, and people keep asking more and more of you. No one wants to listen to you, and people keep piling more on top of you, but you only want your shell back. Yet they expect so much and give little in return. They keep piling on these responsibilities without any idea of understanding on how you might feel. So everyone's concerned about themselves. They all want you to do something, fix something, make it right, because it'll make things better for them and the people around them, so why wouldn't you? But who's helping Krill? Where's his support system? No one's worried about his shell or offering him help. No, they only want to keep chugging along and doing what they want. They want Krill to risk his life time and time again for their wants and needs. Yet for him, again, he just wants to get his shell back. Does he want to do it in a way that might help others? For sure. He is always helping someone in some way, getting just walked over by every person that he comes across to a degree. So he has a bit of a right at the end of the game here to snap back and sort of tell them no, which he does. And then it kind of gets into this surreal moment of, hey, you can't always let people take advantage of you. You have to put your foot down at some point. But you can do it in a way that's respectful, kind, and you can be honest. And if you let people walk all over you, you're going to turn into a shell of a person. Because you're never going to have your own ideas and accomplish the things that you want, and instead you're going to do whatever other people tell you to all the time. So you gotta find a good mix there, and the story represents this in a very interesting and very fun way. But yet it's also very serious. By the end, I enjoyed this game a ton, and the story was actually very impressive. I think for me, it got surprisingly interesting and introspective. That not only made it funny throughout its entire adventure, but it also had meaningful moments that keep you engaged, and I genuinely felt more connected with the story the more that I kept going and playing through this game. So when it comes to the main quest here, which is the most part of this game, I think there's only a very small amount of side quests that you can complete in the first place. Just like in every Dark Souls game, you can kind of do this little side thing or whatever. But overall, the main story and everything they have here is an incredible experience through and through. Next up, we do have to talk about gameplay though. And as I've said before, this is a Souls-like. So one thing right off the bat here is you don't get other types of weapons, which is a little bit disappointing, but you get so many options with shells that they're almost like weapons, abilities, and magic all kind of rolled into one, which is pretty unique and impressive with how they pulled this off with the theme of crabs and shells. You can wear a light shell that has a magic bubble attack where you're quick on your feet, rolling around, dodging very quickly, yet you have almost no durability and the shell will break very easily, leaving you vulnerable at any time. But maybe later in the game you find a heavy shell with that same bubble skill, allowing you to be very slow and absorb many attacks. Maybe this fits your playstyle more and you choose to stick with it. These are different choices that you have throughout the game. New shells are, well, shelled out on a regular basis. You can also pop them off and on at will, which is pretty interesting with some of the mechanics that you can do here, especially in boss fights. Snap on a heavy shell for a bigger hit or a combo that the enemy is going to do, and then back to that lighter one to avoid and be faster on your feet. Maybe using a specific skill that's tied to that shell. You can also jump and hover around, almost like Yoshi from Mario, which is a fun movement system since you're underwater. You can also have a fishing line that is utilized in and out of combat, pulling yourself to enemies or yanking smaller ones closer to yourself to continue the offensive. Just remember, this isn't a combo-based Devil May Cry game. These have to be used with timing and precision in mind, or you're gonna fucking die without a second thought. But you can be specific in the way that you use your attacks, charging one up for a big hit, or dodge rolling into a sweeping slice attack. Slow and methodical is the name of the game here. Dodge attacks and follow up with a few thoughtful strikes to bring down your foe little by little. A ton of enemy variety is in this game. Bosses are extremely unique and sometimes incredible with some of the mechanics they pull off. I struggled quite a bit on a few of them, especially the final boss. One that I remember right off the bat as well is the shrimp. That guy gave me such a hard time, but boy was that a fun ass fight. But when it came to the final boss, he felt like a genuine final boss, which I can't say too often in some of these games. The difficulty spike here showed up. I tell you what, I think I spent probably the longest time on any boss defeating him in particular. There were other bosses that gave me a hard time, but this one, man, did he beat my ass. He's got multiple phases, a wide variety of attacks, and he was just pretty tough overall. That's one thing that I do want to mention with this as well, is the enemies, they attack in some pretty unpredictable ways sometimes. Often they made me giggle or go, oh shit, that's pretty crazy. Like the intimidation grab with his chopsticks, or the eel that uses random thrown away appliances to attack you with, including a vibrating dildo, which is pretty fucking funny. These bosses are all great. They're funny, well designed, goofy, and a hell of a good time. The gameplay, the world genuinely kept me engaged throughout my hours of playing. The combat and gameplay, it's precise. The platforming is a little bit more basic, but still fun, and the way they meld this into the unique elements like shells and a skill tree make it a blast all the way till the end. Speaking of the world a little bit though, the ocean is a vast and scary environment to explore. They fucking sold me with these zones. They're massive and fun, with a lot of clever enemies like different variants of crustaceans and fish and anything else you can think of in this wacky underwater adventure. Honestly, some of the most fun and interesting enemy designs I've ever seen in a game, with a large variety all the way till the end. I mean, once you get to the deep ocean called the Unfathom, where it's dark as hell, you see these giant spider crabs, bigger than any boss that you even fight in the entire game. The lighting and the clever use of it in this zone particularly made me smile while working my way through it. Slow and methodical due to the number of enemies hiding in these dark depths, but also to see the sights and enjoy the change of scenery. We also have a swamp area, a landfill, a pristine sandcastle ruin, all gorgeous with unique movements required to navigate them. The world is polluted with trash ranging from straws and bottles to milk cartons and banana peels. NPCs use random assortments of trash as homes in the big hub city that you go to. This also makes up the assortment of shells that we spoke about before. These shells can legit be anything and everything. Tennis balls, metal cans, shot glasses, broken teacups, thimbles, disco ball, light bulb, you name it, and more than likely, you can strap it onto your back. Now, progression is mostly tied to microplastics. Of course, these are basically souls that you use to upgrade your passives and your base stats. You also unlock special abilities called adaptations over the course of the game that can become more powerful as you pump more currencies into them. There is a specific NPC for some of these as well, but the regular stats can be increased at the Moon Snail Shell, which also acts as your save point, your respawn beacon. It's pretty much a bonfire or site of grace. A lot of the leveling systems in combat are based around soul style systems, but have small things to make it more interesting. Even the rather simple skill tree, you don't get a ton of currencies for, so you truly need to think about what you're going to upgrade, since some of these can be pretty vital to your gameplay. I loved one of the ones I unlocked later on that allowed my shell to be instantly repaired the moment that it shattered on my back, getting me right back into the combat without missing a beat. Having choices on not only my shells, but also my base stats like health upgrades, passive bonuses, and even special attacks was a treat and made me feel like I was playing as a krill of my choosing. But moving on to the last bits of this review, we do have the audio and music. Each zone and boss fight has its own tubular tunes to listen to. I never found myself going, oh god, this song is so shit. And the majority of them actually impressed me on a regular basis. They got the vibes right on this one. Hey, this is Editing Chance, and I just had to come back here and say, holy shit, did I undersell the soundtrack of this game? While reviewing this and then coming back to the soundtrack to be able to review parts of this game and kind of listening to all the music over again, they fucking blew me out of the water here. They use so many different stringed instruments, guitar, I mean, some of them sound like they're Hawaiian jams that you would go to a luau for, while other times they were super dark and secretive or chiptune sounding, almost similar to a Zelda vibe. So I want you to go take a moment, listen to the soundtrack of this game, or just listen to some of the songs that I've put here into this review, and you'll see that these songs here are absolutely outstanding, and I very much enjoyed coming back to them. But anyways, back to the review. The sound of combat and characters is also done well. Every smack of your fork, every enemy smashing your shell, or voice actor that was talking cracked me up with their stupid puns. It's so crisp and well performed. I like how they also had my boy Michael Reeves in there. Yeah, that's right, the YouTuber that posts one video a year about his crazy engineering hijinks. He plays as the lone shark and also that shithead that you fight at the end of the game. Some other small bits that I want to talk about here while wrapping it up is I had practically no crashes or bugs while playing this game. If there was one, I didn't even type it down because it resolved itself so quickly and immediately that it didn't bother me as much as I thought it might have. The enemy variety is very vast, but the majority of them are not that difficult to fight. The main difficulty, just like Souls games, are in the bosses. And boy did they beat my ass on the regular. I died quite a bit on this game. I also spent minimal time farming or searching for very specific upgrades. I just sort of did the things that felt natural and that I felt like doing in the moment, but chugging along as I continued. The final boss was insanely hard though, but I actually enjoy this about these games. I kind of go in there a little unprepared and just try to win. There is also a difficulty option that is basically a gun that you can equip, and if you want to, honestly, just have a good time running around, experiencing the world, or even if you have a smaller child who wants to play the game without the intense difficulty, strap that gun to your back and go around shooting everything in sight, making the game a breeze but also very fun. A few months ago they also released a pretty big update adding New Game Plus, some more costumes, items, boss fights and the like, meaning that it's a great time to hop back in, or for the first time if you've never played it before. There's also this very cute animation that happens whenever you step away and go AFK and you leave the game unpaused, where Krill will sit there and kick around his little healing kelp that he has, this little glowy green heart basically. Whenever you return to the game, it will bounce away, and if you don't grab it, you actually lose that healing. So it took me off guard the first time that it happened, but it also gave me a good chuckle. I like that kind of thing. But my overall thoughts for this game is that truthfully, I really enjoyed it. I started this game knowing that it would be a pretty good time, but as I kept playing it, I thought the story was a bit nonsensical, but in the most fun way. It got more serious and introspective than I assumed from the start, giving you something to actually think about. After finishing it though, I can say it's one of the more just outright fun Souls games that there is. There are so many nowadays, and the majority are so dark and gritty and have this serious tone at all times. But this one's goofy and lighthearted throughout most of its runtime, and I quite enjoyed that. It gave me a change of pace from these kinds of games. Also, a change of perspective. And all it took was a little crab to get us there. Another crab's treasure, also known as Crab Souls, is truly that, a treasure. I hope you enjoyed this review. Do all that dumb YouTube stuff, and of course, I'll see you next time.